Yes, London, we're here. And we're on the move. Are we on the move? Woo! My name is Reverend Leo Woodberry with New Alpha Community Development Corporation. We work with Dogwood Alliance and a host of organizations back in the United States. And it is a pleasure to be here with our allies and in standing here in front of the Trade Ministry to cry out for the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and also for Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, all the places where our forests are being clear-cut and where pellets are being made to ship for Drax and Enviva for this false green solution. And I think that it is fortune that has caused us to come here during Black History Month. Because what is happening are things that I know the good people of the United Kingdom and Europe don't know about and would never stand for. What we're looking at is a model that is exploitive, that is racist, and that is very much like the model that was used during slavery, where Britain had the Royal African Society that exported 5,000 Africans a year to the New World, as they called it, to North America, so that they could ruin the soil, exhaust the land, disrupt nature, disrupt the ecosystem by growing tobacco for their riches. And when the Royal African Company first started, it could not stand on its own. It had to be bankrolled, it had to be subsidized by the government. Just as we see today with Drax, there is no market for the wood pellet industry in the United States. But instead of exporting people as they did from the African shores, they are exporting the products of our forests. What a lot of people don't know is that the southeastern portion of the United States is called the wood basket of the world. That's how many trees that we have, and it was called the wood basket of the world before Drax and Enviva showed up to clear cut our forests. And what we need to realize is that our forests, along with our oceans, are called by our scientists the twin lungs of our planet. And so I came today to cry out to the Trade Ministry and to the government to be good ancestors, as was said earlier. Because when the pages of history are turned, the people of London, the people of Great Britain, the people who are involved unwittingly in this scheme are going to want to be on the right side of history. We come to cry out because in our communities, what we call our forested environmental justice communities, which are predominantly Black and made up of people of color and low-income whites, our forests are being logged to the extent where everywhere we have gone in the South, people are telling us that as the impacts of climate change increase, the logging is causing the flooding to be worse. And as the logging becomes worse, we find historical communities slowly being dismantled and disrupted because people can't afford to continue to repair their homes over and over again. So we can look at cities, little small towns like Nichols, South Carolina, which after 3 years of flooding, half the population has moved away. We can look at communities like Sellers, South Carolina, where half the community has moved away. We can look at historical communities like Britain's Neck, South Carolina, incorporated in 1790, and where the battle for freedom during the American Revolution was fought not only by whites but also by slaves, and which was captured in the movie The Patriot, where Mel Gibson played. This was where part of that battle was fought. And now we find that in this community, within the last 6.5 years, that 3 times 2,000 people have had to be evacuated because of the floods and because of the mold that are in homes. People are getting respiratory problems because of the mold in the elementary school. It had to be shut down, and now small children have to be bused 45 minutes one way every single day just to go to their classes. But that's not it by itself. When we look at fence line communities like Northampton, North Carolina, in Hamlet, North Carolina, in Adel, Georgia, in Lucedale, Mississippi, in Gloucester, Mississippi, we find that people who live in these communities have their cars covered literally every day by sawdust and particulate matter, and that they're breathing in volatile organic chemicals and dust, to the extent that in communities like Hamlet and Darben Heights, North Carolina, which only have 300 people, 100 of those people 100 of that community's residents are either on medication, they're on pumps, they're on oxygen tanks, and they did not need any of those devices before Enviva came and began to cut down trees and ship them to other places to be burned, as they're being burnt in Yorkshire here in England. And so what we want to do is cry out for the Carolinas. We want to cry out for Georgia. We want to cry out for Mississippi. We want to cry out for North Carolina, for South Carolina, and say no more, that we cannot burn our trees. 700 scientists have sent letters to Congress saying that scientifically this is a false solution, that scientifically we are releasing more carbon by cutting down trees. We're releasing more carbon by producing wood pellets. We're releasing more carbon by burning these pellets than we are by having solar energy, geothermal, wood turbines. We know the science and we know the truth, and we don't want the people of this nation to be fooled anymore, and no one on the planet to be fooled anymore. And instead of fueling our homes with false solutions, let's fuel our homes with things like sunlight, things like wind, things that are life-giving, life-affirming. And we call on all people of faith, because the Pew Research study told us that 84% of the people on this planet describe themselves as people of faith. And if people of faith will come together and realize that we are stewards of the earth, and we are responsible for one another, and that we should love one another, then we can win this fight. And for the 16% of people who do not describe themselves as people of faith, let me tell you this, that in my faith tradition, we define faith in this way. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So if you are hoping for a better world, even if you don't see the evidence, then you too are a person of faith. And we all need to come together right now and say no to wrecking our forests, no to destroying our ecosystem. No to ruining our biodiversity. No to racism. No to extraction. No to exploitation. No to Drax. No to burning trees. No, 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 because we don't want no burning trees.
We don't want no burning trees.
We just want clean energy.
We just want clean energy.
We don't want no burning trees.
We don't want no burning trees.
We just want clean energy.
We just want clean energy.
We don't want no burning trees.
We don't want no burning trees.
We just want clean energy.
We just want clean energy.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
We don't want no burning trees.
We don't want no burning trees.
We just want clean energy.
We just want clean energy.
We don't want no burning trees.
We don't want no burning trees.
We just want clean energy.
We just want clean energy.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
Stop Drax.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
No subsidies.
If you're with me, if you stand with me, if we stand together in unity and we realize that if we put justice first, if we stand together on any issue, that when we achieve justice, then we have won. So if you stand with me, let me hear you say, justice first.
Justice first.
Justice first.
Justice first.
Justice first.
Justice first.
And we shall win. On to Westminster, on to victory.
That was really incredible. I feel, very inspired and empowered by hearing that. Thank you once again, Reverend Leo Woodberry, for coming here. Varys Woodberry, Loretta, we're so grateful to have you here. So thank you so much. And I think it's up to us to act in solidarity with these communities that are being poisoned with our money by our government, by corporations here in this country. It's up to us to stop them and act in solidarity with these communities. Give out one more time for these incredible people.